most people at the end of the day just want to feel seen or want to feel heard. If I can have an interaction with somebody during class and I give them a shout out, sometimes that can flip their whole day around. And I've even gotten to a point where sometimes I've had a really tough day and I get to the studio. I'm like, I just don't want to do this today. I have to get on a stage and put a mic on and pretend that everything's great. And a lot of times after I get off stage, like, wow, I really needed that, so it's rewarding to see that you can easily change someone's day, especially if they're not having a good day. You can flip their day around into being something that feels good.
Hi everyone, my name is Priscilla Piper and welcome to the Decision to Dance podcast. Today's guest is Jen Meehan, who is based in Philadelphia and is 29 years old. Jen works in business development and contract management, who also works as a dance fitness instructor. We talk about how Jen got started as a competitive dancer, as well as the challenges that come with that, but also the positives as well. And we talk about dance fitness and how the fitness space can be a beautiful and empowering space for every different kind of person who is wanting to have dance in their lives and find a way to get their heart rate going and move to music that they enjoy, as well as be a part of a safe and welcoming community. So we'll go ahead and just get to it. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you all. As always, we can't say it enough. So without further ado, please enjoy today's episode. Tell us how and when you got into dance.
I was 3 years old. I did kind of the normal suburban activity sort of thing that your mom would put you in dance at a very young age. And so it wasn't my choice to start dancing, but it was my choice to continue dancing for sure. And I think you hear a lot of these stories about people starting when they were young and then kind of falling off. But it was just always something that I gravitated towards. No matter how many activities I did, that was the one thing that I always stuck with, was dancing. So I've been dancing since I was 3. I started at a local competitive dance studio and just stayed with that studio till I was 18 and, continued in college. And that's how I got my start.
Cool. So did you do competitive dance?
I did.
How was that for you growing up?
Right. It always is, you bring that up and people kind of just give you the nod. They're like, yeah, I get it. I had a great experience. I had a great time. I had some of my best friends for the dance, but it's such a volatile experience too, because here you are, you're a young kid. Most of the times you're heavily competing when you're a teenager, and those are really formative years. And so you're feeling all sorts of way about your friendships, about your body, about your skills, about your talent. And then you're here and you're on stage and these random judges who you don't know who they are giving you ratings. And, the whole point system is high silver, gold, high gold, platinum, whatever it is. And so it's so subjective, but when you're a kid, you don't know that. And so there were so many times where I was disappointed from competitions because I thought that I did a really good job, or whatever good means to anybody, or whatever good meant to me. But then I would get ripped apart sometimes by certain judges. And I look back on those things now and I see, oh, okay, well, my toes weren't pointed in this. Like, I was sloppier than I thought I was. Yeah. But when you're a kid and you're being judged by these random people who you don't know who the judges are, and they're just giving you a point value for dance, which is such an artistic thing that I would argue is so hard to be, to confine to something like a point system. It's tough. You take that with you. So while it was really fun, I still felt definitely the hardship of it as well.
Yeah, I definitely can relate to that. I feel like you're the first person I've talked to who actually grew up as a competitive dancer, which also is my experience. And there's definitely a lot of great things that I took out of that experience, but also a lot of things looking back, I'm like, oh, I wish I could tell my younger self what I know now. as an adult and living some life.
Totally.
So when you look back at that time, um, what's something that positive that you did take with you from your time growing up as a competitive dancer? Because I do think we are taught things that not many other people are taught.
Yeah, definitely the idea of training for something that you love, being diligent, performing on a stage, in a warehouse, whatever the conditions may be, you're traveling. The floor is a ballroom floor and it's tiled, so now you have to adjust your dance. So I think the resilience of competitive dancers is really strong because sometimes you get a team member who's sick and you have to fill in and you have to reblock the whole dance 5 minutes before you go on stage. And then your solos are going at 9 p.m. on a Friday night. You have to be there for the production number at 7 a.m. the next morning, and it's all part of the camaraderie is really fun though too, because you're doing it as a team, and if you have a good team and you have good friends on that team, it's all an experience altogether. So I loved the competition weekends, as tiring as they were. Yes, I was disappointed by some things, but all in all, it really taught me the idea of training for what you want, being able to showcase different dances, different styles, train in different styles, be a part of 20 different numbers or whatever. Like, that's just so fun to be able to do that anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to say it's like a big talent show because it's obviously a bigger deal than that, but to somebody on the outside, not everybody gets to specialize in every single type of dance. Or like, I'm just so grateful that I was able to do ballet, tap, jazz, lyrical, and be in a musical theater piece, and also do hip hop and do a trio and this and that with all my favorite people. Like, that's just such a fun thing looking back at that. What the coolest competitive sport that there was, because I think about the people who played sports in high school, which great for them. I'm sure they loved playing field hockey or whatever, however many games, but there's just so much versatility to what we were able to do. And we got to learn a lot under great teachers. Like, some of my teachers from my school are some of my still closest resources and friends, which is awesome. I actually, one of my teachers is now a coworker at the fitness studio that I work at, and so we've reconnected and we've known each other for 20 years. So it's the
Yeah.
relationships, the team building, the diversity of what you're doing, the versatility, and just having that opportunity even is something that not a lot of people get to do. So there are some great things, like, having the friendships still, and just teaching you how to be diligent and how to take critiques in a
Yeah.
way that isn't self-deprecating. That's,
Mm-hmm.
you got to learn that too. So there are definitely positives to it as well. Like, it wasn't all negative, but it is like
Yeah.
a double-edged sword.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. And I definitely agree with you with the critique taking thing as well. I feel like that's something that I took with me, and I learned that other people aren't necessarily used to receiving feedback like I am. And so
Yeah.
I realized, oh, because I'm a dancer, I was used to it my entire life. It doesn't really phase me. It maybe kind of bothers me, but I'm like, oh, I'll get through it. It's not a big deal.
Right.
So I definitely relate to that. So if you could look back and tell yourself something that you know now as a young dancer growing up, what would you tell young Jen?
It's not that deep. And I think, like, when I was 16 or 17 and I scored fourth place in a category that I wanted to score first place in, it's not that deep. You're not going to take that with you and carry that with you for the rest of your life, even if it feels like the biggest letdown in the moment. It's like, it's just not that deep. Like, we're here, we're dancing, we're having a good time. It's three different people's opinions of you. Just knowing that, keep doing what you're doing, which luckily I never stopped doing it. I feel like I would be sad if I had let that stop me from doing what I loved. But just that, it's, again, in the grand scheme of things, it's not the end of the world that you scored lower in something. If you worked hard and you had a good time doing it, then
Mm-hmm.
that's the most important part. Is, if you love dancing, you should continue to keep dancing.
Yeah, for sure. I think the hardest part for me, at least with that competitive environment, is that you are in that constant comparison mode, and you kind of, at least for me, it was, I started to lose sense of who I was and
Mm,
started to rely more on the opinions of other people. So I I agree with the fact that it's not that deep, and if you don't get first place, it's not the end of the world. Like, life
right.
continues. But when you're in that environment, it's like hard to forget it. So I think that's really good advice. There's a caption that I want to read to you that you had written that was on your Instagram post. I grew up in a competitive dance environment, and while I loved it, I always found myself in a comparative mindset to my teachers, my peers, and other dancers in the industry. But I was lucky to have had supportive mentors who challenged me and encouraging ways to keep me going. It's tough to be that person for a young dancer. You can either let your students sit idle or you can push them too hard to the point of giving up completely because that happy medium isn't always easy to find. It wasn't until fitness entered my life that I felt like I could return the favor by offering my own challenge in an encouraging way while still being a safe space. So, does anything come to mind after hearing that again?
Yeah, just I mean, I'm like, ooh, hey, cool. Yeah, the brain is cool. Just I like writing because I feel like it takes my deepest thoughts and leaves it out where I can visualize it and actually see it because sometimes it's hard to process things up in here.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, it is the teachers you have make such an impact on who you are and how you grow up. And I think about the teachers that I had, and I really had great experiences because you want to be pushed to a certain extent. Like I would be wanting to come in and run my solo at 9 p.m. after all of our other classes were done, and my teacher, who was a mom of two of her own boys, would stay until 10 o'clock or 10:30 at night with me on a Monday night because she knew that I wanted to run my solo and that I wanted it to be really good and train for competition. So the teachers are really also the people that have such a big impact on you, even if you're comparing yourself to your other peers and stuff. And, sometimes dance, there's drama with other people. But I really do think that, yeah, finding that happy medium of being a safe space while also pushing you to your potential is so difficult. And you have to make that an encouraging push. Yeah, it's really difficult to find that little safe space in between. And I think that the teachers I had really, like, I can't like speak enough about how I felt pushed, but also catered to, but also safe and welcome. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm sure that definitely played a role for you when you started to teach your fitness classes as well. So, can you talk about how fitness entered your life and how it evolved into what it is now?
After my high school graduation in 2014, I started taking Zumba classes over the summer because I knew that just health wise and cardio wise, that my dance schedule was not going to be the same in college because you're at the studio when you're doing competition 6 or 7 days a week, however many hours a day after school. And I just knew that my training regimen wasn't going to be that serious anymore because I went to school at a university that had a modern program, which I did major in dance at GW, which was great, but it was also, I wasn't training as much. Like you would have a couple classes per week and a lot of choreography classes and a lot of composition classes, so more focused on the art form of dance rather than the training part of it. So the whole point of taking Zumba and taking a dance fitness class was so I could still physically be in the like cardio shape that I was when I was dancing, because I was like, I need another workout. Like I can't physically falter from this.
Mm-hmm.
And so I took a class and started taking them over the summer, and then eventually, I think the end of my freshman year, I said, I think I could see myself teaching this at school. I like leadership roles. Like I always enjoyed being in a leadership position, whether it was in school or in dance or whatever it was. And I said, I could see myself leading a class of people in dance fitness. And I just said, why don't I just do the Zumba cert? It's one day and you leave and you're licensed and unless you do something that's terribly bad. But
Yeah.
I was just like, all right, I'm gonna start. And so then I started teaching at school, and from there I was just addicted. I got any cert that you could get. I started teaching Les Mills body pump, which is like a lifting class. I got my spinning cert, so I was dancing on bikes. Like
Wow.
I did my personal training cert. I teach a format called Pound, which is with drumsticks, which is really
Oh,
fun. And
cool.
then 305 was a format that I was certified in. That was another club style dance fitness. Now we've developed some of our own in-house formats. But yeah, I taught at school. And then when I moved back after college, this new studio that was rebranding near me needed a sub for a bar class. And my friend, my coworker, also my dance teacher at the school I grew up, going to, she was like, I think you need to sub here. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, that would be cool. And that would be cool to be coworkers at a place that I grew up and you were my dance teacher,
Yeah.
it comes full circle. So then I
Uh-huh.
ended up subbing that bar class, and then just the rest is history. Like I just stayed at that studio. I've been there for 6 years, and now I teach all the different dance and bar and like stretch formats and stuff there.
That's so cool. Every time I see your posts, it looks like you're having the time of your life. I I feel like that's accurate.
Yeah, it's so much fun because there's no pressure, Like I think with dance fitness, I had to learn a couple different lessons. Sorry, I'm going off the rails, but
No, you're
I
good.
just had to learn that that's not a competition with dance fitness. Like most people are just coming to a class because they want to move and they like dancing and they
Mm-hmm.
want to get a workout in and not feel like they're working out. So it's nice because it takes pressure off that you would put on yourself, like
Yeah.
self-inflicted pressure, and then like you can be creative but also be encouraging and be challenging, and it still is a lot of brain work because you're looking at what is working for the people and what's not, and you're making
Mm,
changes that way too.
yeah, constant assessment. What is the
Hmm.
prep work like for those classes?
Yeah. It's a lot of choreography. It's a
Yeah.
lot of listening to music all the time that's just for classes. Like I don't remember the last time I just listened to a song because I really wanted to listen to the song.
Yeah.
I'm always, okay, what class could this be used for? What do I need in my dance fitness class right now? So we try to the studio tries to offer new playlists every month. And for dance, we kind of try to rotate our choreography in maybe a couple songs at a time, because if you hit everybody in the room with 45 minutes of completely new stuff, they're just going to feel really discouraged because they've never seen it before.
Yeah.
So I'm just constantly, I don't have a time in the month where I'm like, okay, the 15th of every month, I'm sitting down and doing all my new choreography, because also sometimes you're just not creatively inspired.
Yeah.
So
Right.
you can't put yourself on a schedule. But when inspiration does strike, I try to take advantage of it and say, okay, I'm going to use this week and add these two new songs to my dance fitness class. And for bar, it's sort of similar based on whatever format it is. Like some of them aren't as choreographed. Some of them I just have to make a new playlist for the week. Um, but there's a lot of behind the scenes prep work that a lot of people don't understand. Like I'm not just picking a playlist on Spotify and being like, here we go.
Yeah, you're
you
being
know,
thoughtful about the music, you're being thoughtful about the choreography that you're putting in, and probably how repetitive you're making it and how intense you're making it. How high is your heart rate going or how low is it
right.
going? Like there's so many things to think about. That's why I ask, because I've never done that. I've never taught a fitness class, but I think about that, the prep that would go into it, and I'm like, I feel like that's so like hours of work for one class.
Yeah. Well, yeah, especially the first time that you're putting together a playlist, the first time that I taught a specific format, you're starting from zero, right? So you're not building upon what you already have, and you have to go through it and then realize, okay, these three songs next to each other are too slow and complex. Like I've given people too much of a break. So now I need to put a higher song in. But if it's too many high songs in a row, they're dying.
Right.
So you got to play to intervals, you got to play to style. If I notice I have three songs in a row that have the same push down move or whatever, I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I should have looked at the moves for each of these songs and switched them a little bit or moved them into playlist so that it wasn't too much repetition next to everything else, because some of these things you're taking from the archives, so you're thinking, oh, I don't have that specific move or that type of song in this playlist, but then you put two next to each other and you're like, whoa, wait, that's really similar. Or,
Yeah.
you're just constantly assessing, like you're saying.
Yeah, that makes sense. I feel like in that type of environment, kind of going back to what you're saying about the camaraderie within competitive dance, I feel like in that space, it must be very uplifting and empowering to be around a group of people that are wanting to have fun and wanting to have dance in their life and also to exercise and move their bodies as well. And I feel like that's so important for all of us to have. And so, what is something that you feel like people are taking away from your classes or just doing dance fitness classes in general?
I would hope that specifically for my class, I want it to be approachable and accessible so anybody could come in and take it, even if they hadn't danced ever before in their lives, that I would be able to cue a class well enough or guide you through the class well enough that you felt encouraged, even if you weren't doing the moves exactly the way that they're choreographed. Not everybody's a trained dancer. I don't want to discourage people. I also want people to have a good time. So I always say, as long as you're moving, it doesn't really matter to me. Whatever you're doing, if something speaks to you differently or you like to put your arm up instead of out to the side, I don't care. You just have a good time. And I think it's really easy in the fitness world to get into tons of consumerism that is toxic, unhealthy. I'm a huge proponent against diet culture. I just can call it out so quickly when I see gyms being toxic and just offering all these unnecessary things. So I'm very lucky to be at a place where the goal isn't to look a certain way or to have a certain aesthetic or to focus on weight loss or anything. Like, we don't mention that. We just want to be a place that feels safe and feels like you can be authentically you, and that you're confident in who you are. And so a lot of people come in, they stand in the back, they don't know. I said the center's the safest room to be because I'm going to turn the room and you're going to be the front at one point,
Oh
so don't
no.
just hide in
So
the
then you'll be
back.
surprised.
Yeah, so I be in the center. I try to introduce people to like long-standing members of the community, and people will come in and they're very shy and timid, and then sometimes by the time a month or two rolls around, like, they're wearing sports bras in the front row or whatever because they just feel confident. They don't care what anybody else thinks, and that's what I want people to dress how they want, not or stand where they want and dance how they want and not be worried about what the other people around them are thinking. Like, I just want them to be there for themselves, and if that means you close your eyes and dance and get lost in it, then and you feel safe enough and comfortable enough to do that, then that's the goal.
Yeah. It's so it's so hard to find that like sweet spot sometimes. I feel like especially within dance and fitness, you can get into that obsessive place where it's like either food or movement is becoming unhealthy, and it's
Yeah.
like how it's really tough to get to a place where it's like even if I'm moving all the time, it's because I love it, not because I'm like trying to lose weight or whatever the case may be, but just doing it in a healthy way. I feel like it can be very hard for people to find that that spot where it's like I'm doing this because I love it and I'm doing it to fulfill myself and fuel my body rather than being so obsessive about how I look and a number and all of that. So I think that's really great that you come at that with like that mindset and that perspective and share that, even if you're not necessarily talking about it. Maybe you do, I'm not sure, but I'm sure people can feel that within their classes as well. And I think that's so cool that you can like visually see a difference in people after they start coming in classes later, and you watch them walk out feeling like a totally different person. So is that part of what keeps you going in this? Because obviously this is not easy work and you have to love what you're doing to keep doing it.
Yeah, it's rewarding for sure to see those differences and those changes in people, but most people at the end of the day just want to feel seen or want to feel heard. And if I can have an interaction with somebody during class and I give them a shout out, sometimes that can flip their whole day around. And I've even gotten to a point where I've had most times I teach at night, and sometimes I've had a really tough day and I get to the studio, I'm like, I just don't want to do this today. I have to get on a stage and put a mic on and pretend that everything's great and I gotta hype, 15 people up and make them feel like I have tons of energy when all I just want to do is go home and go to sleep. And a
Yeah.
lot of times after I get off stage, like, wow, I really needed that.
Yeah.
So it's rewarding to see that you can easily change someone's day, especially if they're not having a good day. You can flip their day around into being something that feels good. And yeah, I think that that's pretty much most of it is helping other people. And I love dancing, obviously. And I do feel like I'm in a good place where my own exercise habits or my own relationship with movement and food. I mean, I didn't start out like this. It took me a long time to get to the mindset that I'm in. So I won't say that I've always been like this because I went through my own struggle where I was using an app and trying to track what I was doing and how many calories was this burning and did I eat under the amount that I burned. It was just, it's unhealthy, like to just
Yeah.
be thinking about that and have it be so consuming. So I think it takes a lot and it takes a long time to get to a healthy mindset like that. And I want to be able to help people feel that they can also get there because a lot of people come in feeling like saying like, oh man, like, I had ice cream last night for the holiday or whatever, and now I got to burn it off. And I literally will call them out and be like, no, you don't. You're here to dance and just have a good time. And
Mm-hmm.
they're like, yeah, because I feel like a lot of people just haven't had the permission to feel like they can just
Mm.
come into dance because they want to dance. And I actually had a dietitian who helped me with that and helped me be like, there's no morality to the food that you're eating. Like because you wanted an ice cream cone doesn't mean that it's bad or that you're bad. And it took me a long time to get to certain things like that. So yeah, the most rewarding part is seeing people kind of flip the switch and feel confident, but also realize that they have supportive people helping them along the way and that their environment is safe and that they feel as though this mindset is actually achievable hearing from people who have gone through that journey themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So that definitely keeps me going because like I said, yes, I love it. It's a lot of work, but the difference that you make in the community, you don't understand the impact until someone will tell you like, hey,
Mm-hmm.
I've been doing your classes online at home and like you helped me cure my osteoporosis. I'm like, what?
Oh my gosh. That's
That's
huge. That's
huge.
life changing.
It's life changing. And so I'm like, yeah, we're movement providers are changing lives. And
Absolutely.
even if it's not something that's that, huge of a an accomplishment, which is amazing. I'm not discrediting anybody else's accomplishment, but if it's just like, oh, you helped me get through my day. I had a really tough day.
Yeah.
That's really
Um,
awesome.
yeah, absolutely. The physical part of it and the emotional part of it as well.
Yeah, right.
And it can vary for each person and their experience down the road as well. And I love what you said about how you had your own personal experience and how it wasn't easy dealing with what you dealt with. And I feel like that's so common in the dance space and also probably in the fitness space too.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, and I also experienced it myself. And now getting to where I'm at mentally, when I see other people struggling with that, I feel so it's like I want to just like help anybody because it's not an easy place to be. So when you are on the other side of it, it's like, ooh, there is hope for anybody else who may be struggling as well. So I think that's really cool that you share that message with other people. So you talked about online classes. So what you do is offered in person and online. Is that correct?
Yeah, most stuff is live streamed. Some of the stuff is not just based on licensing stuff, but most of what we offer is available online.
Okay, cool. So I could definitely get like a link to your website and we could keep that for anybody that wants to have
Yeah.
fitness as part of their lives if they may not live where you live.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Cool. So something that you talked about was having good teachers, and I know you have done the Galen Hooks method
Hmm.
intensive. I thought it was really interesting when you were recommending resources for people. You talked about how the Galen Hooks Method classic session is great to view movement in a pedestrian way, and which I 100% agree because I've done it myself, but I was like, oh, what an interesting way to describe and recommend the session. So without going into like the specific layout of the session, can you just elaborate a little bit more of what that means and how that made an impact on you?
Yeah, that was a note that I actually received throughout the session was you need to view this from a pedestrian point of view. You're viewing it as a dancer. You're trying to dance it too much. There's different human aspects of it as opposed to just doing it as a technical dancer, making it look the best, for lack of a better phrase there. It was that, I guess, subconsciously that's what I was doing is I was doing it as a dancer because I've been trained to do things that look clear and appealing and well placed, and
Mm-hmm.
so I was trying to do that as well as I could. And the note was to just take it back to the basics, take it back to the pedestrian human movement. Like, how would somebody coming off the street
Mm-hmm.
do this? I was like, oh, okay. So it reframed the movement for me, honestly, because I needed to be taken back to square one.
Yeah, I've also experienced the same critique, and I feel like it's probably very common in the competitive dance world if that's what you grew up in. Like you're just taught to be placed and to be perfect and the lines, and it's something I still get feedback on. But I think it's so cool when you have that eye-opening experience of realizing that you don't have to be perfect and actually being the opposite, being messy and you know the just the opposite of whatever perfect is actually something that's so beautiful and mesmerizing and interesting to watch. When I was watching your video from that session, I don't know what you were thinking about during your solo, but it was just so captivating and so different from what you usually see as a dancer. So I love that's changed your viewpoint as a dancer. And you also mentioned the BDC intensives and classes if you're in New York. Have you taken any of those?
Yeah, I did a Broadway Dance Center couple, it was a couple days intensive with Sheila Barker, like way back in the day. It's just, it reminds you of that training that you did um when you were growing up, but it's also just like it's very clear cut, like cut and dry. Do this, do this, do this. Like it's you just it will prepare you for, if you're taking classes at Broadway Dance Center, you're taking classes from people who are in the industry in New York. And so if you want to be in New York, like that's a great place to go. And if you have that resource, there's a million different classes in New York or in Broadway Dance Center. Like even if you go to Steps or wherever else you might visit while you're in New York, like there's so many places that you can go to and just take class. Like I just always think that taking class is the best way to stay in your practice, because like what else, what else at the bulk of what dance is, it comes back to the training and the classes and just like working your brain as well as
Mm-hmm.
your body.
What is dance looking like in your life right now? Of course, you have the fitness dance classes going. Is that the majority of your dance life right now?
Yeah, for the most part I take a couple classes just for fun in at a place in Delaware, like 45 minutes from where I am. The girl who teaches used to be an NFL cheerleader, so she has more of the like pro style background, which is really fun. And I had considered exploring that avenue because there's just so many different ways to be a part of dance in your 20s. And so that's just been fun to be able to take classes here and there, whether it's heels or hip hop or pro style or contemporary or whatever it is, and just being like, wow, it just feels good to dance again for a 2 hour class or whatever. I teach here and there sometimes some choreography workshops. A couple years ago, like kind of mid pandemic, really, 2020, 2021, I was a choreography assistant on a few music videos. So that was a really cool experience as well, to also be a part of just like the choreography aspect of things.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, right at this point in time, it's mostly the dance fitness world, and here and there taking classes for myself, which is great. I am good with that right now. As you know, I mean, this is a whole other tangent, but just I was kind of recreating my space. And so I've had a lot of tasks in this year of 2025 that I needed to give to myself or complete for myself before kind of moving on to anything else. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's been a journey, but yeah, I'm happy with what's going on right now. I obviously wish dance was more prominent in my career, but I am lucky for the dance fitness aspect that I do have at this moment.
Yeah. Yeah, that's such a great point though of like there are other things going on in our lives aside from dance. Um, and it's hard to do it all. I feel like when you are dancing, it can kind of consume your life depending on what it's looking like. And that can be a great thing, of course. But it's tough when you have other things going on as well. And it's like, how do I prioritize all of these things? So, for somebody who is struggling with that, who maybe needs to spend some time organizing their room or spend some time with their family or whatever the case may be, focusing on their health. There's so many different scenarios for anybody who's struggling with like putting not dance on the back burner, but just like making it a little less part of their life so that they can focus on other things. For anyone that's struggling with doing that, what would you tell them?
I think you have to take your identity out of only being a dancer, because if you can't do that, what happens when physically you get injured, or you're not booking a job, or you like somebody in your family passes away and you regret the time that you didn't spend with them? And it's hard, but you also have to return to who you are and say, okay, at the core of who I am, I'm not just a dancer. Like, I'm a dancer, but I'm also so many other things. Like, I'm a daughter, I'm a sister, I am a fitness professional, I am a partner, and so there's just so many different hats that we wear in this lifetime. And yes, of course, if you're a dancer and you love dancing and you want to pursue dancing, it's going to be hard to shift your focus if you feel like it's putting you at risk of not being able to do that anymore in the capacity that you want to. But sometimes life calls for that, and I think it better prepares you for being able to say, like, even though I'm not dancing as much as I used to be, or I'm dancing in a different way than I used to, or in a different capacity, doesn't make me any less of a dancer. There are people who are have the best technique, or the best, like, we could claim that they're like the best dancers that are known to exist, and maybe they just don't want to like work in the industry or whatever. And people will be like, oh, that's such a waste of talent or a waste of whatever. And I'm like, no, but not if that was their decision, like, it's just,
Yeah.
you have to go back to, yes, you might have the gift, you might have the talent, you might have the work ethic, you might have the diligence, but what is your priority and what is the most important thing right now? And it's hard to re-identify that relationship, but I think giving yourself the grace, but also giving yourself the freedom to wear more than just the dancer hat
Yeah.
is important.
Yeah, I agree. And I would argue to say it, I feel like the more things that you do, the more hats that you wear can make you a better dancer because it's
Yeah,
like just living life and going back to that, being pedestrian, being a human, it's like just living life can make you a better dancer if you allow it to.
definitely. And I feel that way too. Like, I think about when I was in competition, I was like, oh, I'm training all the time, so good, whatever. And then I look back at videos, I'm like, oh, you didn't finish your lines, you didn't do this, whatever. And I'll be the worst critic of myself until the day that I die. But at the same time, now I have the ability to offer myself grace and see the human in me. And I think that makes it more interesting, like adding humanity to the performance, or adding humanity to the picture, and being more versatile makes you a better dancer, a better performer, or a better artist, you know?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I feel like just makes you more interesting, like as an audience member. It's like, ooh, like who is this person? I want to get to know more of who they are as a individual. So I think that's great advice. So we're talking about focusing on other things. If you don't mind me sharing, as a 29-year-old, what are you focusing on in your life right now?
Oh, great question. I feel like I can get really comfortable where I am, and I think that it's hard for me to challenge myself into change, and I'm not saying I'm forcing myself into it, but I always said that this year I was going to do more continuing education and just better myself in different ways. So a big thing that I did before my 29th birthday was I redid my whole room, and I decluttered and cleaned and organized, and now I created a new space and re-identified my relationship with my space. And so doing a lot of that, and just like, what next fitness certification can I do, because I feel at a point where I'm kind of been doing the same thing for a while, and that's not a bad thing, but just I want to learn more.
Mm-hmm.
um and then just like, who knows, my we have a family business. My dad like started this business when I was really young, and so he's going to be looking to retire soon. So there's a lot of change I feel that's happening on the horizon. I think it's good stuff, but it's also hard for me to, I can easily get into a routine and just stay there and um be not complacent, but just like comfortable.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, okay, I'm content. Content
Yeah.
is the word I was looking for. I'm hoping to be able to do my Pilates certification in the fall, and that would be a big addition to the fitness world that I have, and make me more versatile and diverse as an instructor where I teach now. And so there's a lot that's on the horizon that I'm excited about, and I think will make me better at what I do. And so the biggest things right now that I'm focused on are just creating a space that feels like I can accomplish and succeed in the most healthy and genuine way, and just get rid of stuff that's holding me back, pretty much.
Mm, that's great. I love that. That's so exciting.
Thanks.
And
Yeah,
I think a lot
thanks.
of people can relate to that feeling of um, feeling comfortable and being a little scared to do new things. But I do feel like once you start with one thing, then you're like, oh, I can do another thing. And then before you know it, you're like, you're running instead of walking. So that's very exciting. And I'm excited
Yeah,
for your year ahead. And with the
thanks.
Pilates training, is it reformer Pilates? Just out of curiosity.
It's a comprehensive
Okay.
certification. So it would be mat, it would be reformer, Cadillac, Tower, all everything.
Very
Yeah,
cool. Very
yeah,
extensive. Wow.
it's very extensive. Yeah.
I love Pilates. I've done it on and off for the last few years. Right now I'm off of it, but I love Pilates. I feel like it's just so good for the body. So that's so cool that you're working towards that.
Yeah, you've never felt more body awareness than when you take a Pilates class. You know where every muscle is feeling, and what you need, and what's speaking to you, and what you need to pay more attention to. And I think it's so important. And I think it's a great, I mean, obviously right now it's also very trendy. And a lot of people are doing that for that reason, but I
Mm,
think it's a good return back to, like, there will always be Pilates. And I think that I'm just excited to be able to hopefully, dive deeper into that world.
yeah, that's exciting. So the last question I want to ask you, I know that you also like going to coffee shops, which I also love. So if you were in line getting coffee and you were coming, maybe you were just getting out of a dance class, and the person in front of you saw you and they just like knew you were a dancer, and they turned around and they were like, "You're a dancer, right?" And you're like, "Yeah." And then they ask you, "So why do you dance?" What would you tell them?
Oh, oh my gosh. I thought you were going to ask me, what's your coffee order?
Oh, no, sorry, kind of took it another direction. You can also tell me that too.
I was like, I'm ready. That's funny. Um, I dance because dance to me is freedom. there is no wrong choice or answer in dance, and it allows me to flex the body and the mind at the same time. It allows me to continually work as an artist, and there's always something new to be explored.
Mm, I love that. Always challenging yourself. That was a great answer. Thank you so much, Jen, for being on the Decision to Dance podcast. It was really so fun just learning a little bit more about your story of getting into dance and what dance is looking like for you now. So thank you so much for taking the time to be on here.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you all for taking the time to listen to today's episode. However it is you bring us into your life, we appreciate you and we are happy to be a part of it. So thank you again for listening, and we will see you all in the next episode.